So DJI just released the new goggles N3, which is DJI's cheapest FPV goggles to date. Only $229 and 279 euros. For that price, you know, you get a lot. I also made a full video on that yesterday, so make sure to check that out down in the description. But with this release, we also got a new firmware update for the DJI Neo, which in my opinion is huge. It adds vertical mode, so in 9:16, 1080p only though, which is understandable because it crops in the 4K footage. So we're gonna go and test that now and see the real quality of that, and also the option to fly your DJI Neo with the smartphone in horizontal mode. So not only the vertical mode, which we're used to, but now you can flip over the phone and you'll be able to get a much wider, much bigger screen real estate when you're flying, which is fantastic. And there's also been some minor bug fixes and all of that. So let's just get into it. Let's see how this DJI Neo performs. There's also some speed when it comes to tracking now, so it will have a higher speed when it's tracking you, which means if you're running on a skateboard, bicycle, anything like that, it's going to be able to keep up. So yesterday when I was out here shooting the goggles video, everything was white and there was nothing to see basically, but this is what it looks like. So a lot better today, I would say. We have the sun popping over there, so this time I probably need to put on an ND filter because I don't want it to be blown out or the sky to be blown out. I'm also wearing my FCPX gloves here, which are fantastic, and when I'm gonna fly now using the smartphone, I can just take these off and I have some free hands, and even do this to have better control. 2 degrees Celsius now, so it's pretty cold. So thank you FCPX for sending these over, I highly appreciate it. Okay, so the new firmware is 01.00.0400, so that's the firmware you're looking for when you want to update, and this firmware will add the support for the goggles N3 and added a live view stabilization when using the goggles N3 and the goggles 3 with the DJI Neo. And we also have vertical shooting, as I mentioned, and added support for audio recording via the app when using the DJI RC-N3 or N2 remote. Also in mobile app control, added support for manual control in full screen and the control stick mode switch in control settings, something like that. And we also have a natural style now when it comes to audio, so you can set the noise reduction effect for audio recording to a natural style to preserve more of the ambient sound. So this is what the pure audio setting sounds like when using your iPhone or a smartphone to record the audio. I'm standing about 2 meters away from the DJI Neo now. So how does this audio sound? Let me know in the comments below. And now let's stop that and change over to the natural one to see how that sounds in comparison to pure. So this is what the natural audio setting sounds like. I'm still standing about 2 meters away from the DJI Neo. So how does this sound compare to the older version? Let me know in the comments below. And of course we have some optimized positioning performance and increased flight speed during tracking. And there's also a fix for some known issues, which is usually the bugs that we keep on getting now and then with these drones. So let's put on some ND filters. It's pretty bright right now. So when we go over to manual control here, you can see that we have an icon on the bottom right corner of the live preview screen here. So when I tap on that, it will go into this horizontal mode.
Take off.
So this is what the vertical screen looks like, and as you can see, we have the joysticks on the bottom left and bottom right here, the record button on the top right. Now I'm not sure if this is a new feature, but I can't recall seeing it earlier, but when I walk towards the DJI Neo here, you can see that it picks up on me with this green tracking box here. So what I can do now is just select myself. So I'm now going to change over to vertical here inside the settings tab. So this is 1080p up to 60 FPS actually, which is nice. It's set to vertical, but it doesn't say it. Oh, there it comes. Okay, it just, at first it doesn't show vertical or the vertical aspect on the screen, and it takes some time for it to actually update on the screen. Yeah, but it looks pretty nice. It's vertical videos, it's in 1080p. There's not much more to say really. What's going on? I mean, what's going on with the tracking here? Is it my jacket? Yeah, I bought a new jacket for the sake of these gloves. Thankfully, 50% off. It's fantastic. I'm not sure why it's pulsing so much when I walk here. So if I try to walk a little bit faster, let's see if we can keep a consistent speed here. I mean, it's doing better, but it's pulsing back and forth, not sure why. What was that? You know what, I'm gonna take off the ND filters and just see if there's any differences, because I haven't really had that good of a tracking experience right now. So this is the natural audio coming from my smartphone again, still using the natural audio settings here, and this is what it sounds like when the DJI Neo is following you. Alright, seems to be better already without the ND filter. I mean, the scenario here is it doesn't really require ND filter. It's only when I'm facing this way, because we have the sun, and as you can see in the video now, it's just completely blown out, and that's why you want to use an ND filter. So let's see how it does when we get to the same position here where it struggles with the ND filter. Alright, so I now switched over to horizontal aspect. This is 4K 30 FPS. This is the typical scenario that I'm gonna film my videos, so I needed to work in a scenario like this. When I'm out hiking with the Neo, I'm going through forests like this, and I needed to work properly like it did earlier. So let's turn around and do the same thing again and see how this goes now compared to the vertical mode and compared to with them without ND filters. This is also where I would prefer to have ND filters, because I can see on the screen everything is blown up. So much better with the 4K horizontal video compared to vertical, and also without ND filters. Now another thing which seems to be new here is that we have the option to quick change the settings, so we don't have to go into the settings tab and then dial in the different settings for each different mode we want to use. So now doing a drone in vertical mode to see what that looks like. And what I really like is that I also get the shot where it's coming in, so if that shot looks better than the one going up, you know, I have two shots to choose from. Now testing the circle feature in vertical mode, 1080p 30 FPS. So now doing a rocket in vertical mode, 1080p 30 FPS. This is direction track, and I'm walking straight forward. There's a lot of trees behind the drone now, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to move this, but this is what it looks like in vertical mode. And let me know what you think in the comments below. Is direction track something you use a lot to forward track here, walking forward, track here. Yeah, no, you know what I mean. This is something you use a lot. Let me know in the comments below. Oh, how did it dodge all of that? That was crazy. So this is Helix, 4 meters, vertical mode, 1080p, 30 fps. So this is what that looks like. Helix is definitely one of my favorite features to use. It creates these unique shots, which is pretty amazing. Oh, and this is Spotlight in vertical mode, 1080p at 30 fps. And it tracks me pretty well, and now to have this in vertical mode, it's fantastic. It's something I use all the time because it makes it easier for me as a solo content creator to capture different shots, and I don't really have to put any effort into it because the drone will automatically hover in place and do everything for me, which is fantastic. And I don't even have to use my phone, which is crazy. So when it comes to the firmware update and the new DJI FLY app update, version 1.15.4, I can honestly say it's 100% safe to update, and I haven't found any issues so far from testing it here in the forest, where we have had some pretty bright light and some pretty dark light as well, which it is here in the forest where I'm currently walking. So if anything, it's only made the DJI Neo better in my opinion with the vertical shooting mode. We have the different audio selections. Now, if you're using the DJI RC2 controller or the DJI RC N2 or N3 controller when you fly your DJI Neo, make sure to go through your settings. For this update, I had my sharpness settings set back to default, so I had to go in and change them back to -2, which I highly recommend because out of the box the Neo is a little bit sharp. And also go through the other settings just to make sure that you have everything dialed in. And if you watched my previous firmware update video on the DJI Neo, you should already have saved your current settings, so it should be easy for you to just dial in the same settings on the controller if that's what you're using. So all in all, the DJI Neo is one fantastic drone, and I think this update only made it better with the vertical tracking. So the outro of this video is going to be the DJI Neo tracking me vertically through the forest here on my way home. So again, thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe and a like button if you want to check out my long-term or my weeks later travel review of the DJI Neo. There's a link down below as well, and also my DJI Neo Luts pack if you're interested in making your footage stand out and look a little bit better than others. Wow, that's pretty impressive. The entire trail back without any major issues. The only issue was that I set it a little bit too high. At a certain point there I had to change the settings from high to flat when it comes to the altitude, but other than that, this performed amazing. Of course, I heard that there was some bouncing back and forth, but this is something, you know, I have with my Mini 4 Pro, and I have some with the Air 3S as well, but on the Mini 4 Pro I actually have quite a lot of that too when I'm tracking myself through the forest. So it is to be expected, but for $200, that's pretty sick. The perfect hiking companion in my opinion. No remote, nothing. The only thing I had to pull out my phone for was to change the setting, but you have your phone with you 99.9% of the time anyway. That's impressive.